and the biggest smile spread across my face. And I was just like, God, you are too good. You know, you're too kind. And I'm so spoiled, truly. Hey everyone, and welcome in. My name is Tolu, and on this channel I make faith-based videos to encourage you as you fight the good fight of the faith daily. In today's video, I want to share a testimony of how gracious and kind God has been to me lately, to remind me that He is, still here with me, still listening to my prayers, and still very active in my life. I don't know if any of y'all can relate to me in this, but when it comes to faith, right, I would like to believe that I have a lot of it, and that I don't need God to constantly be working miracles to believe that He can, right? But sometimes I feel like my faith is not necessarily shaky, but not as confident as it could be, and I feel like it could use a boost to remind me that God can still show up and work the impossible in my life too, Hearing other people's testimonies of how God is moving in their lives is usually so encouraging to me and really does help to strengthen my faith, but of course, seeing God move in my own life helps to do this so much more, and it really gives me the confidence that I need to stand firm in my faith and keep believing for the things that I'm praying about. I wish this wasn't the case, and that I didn't need to see evidence or get confirmation every 12 months to believe that God was still listening and active in my life. But I think that's the human nature in me, and I am so grateful that God included examples in the Bible of how His own disciples struggled with faith sometimes and needed to see evidence before they believed, So it's a common struggle, and if this is a season that you feel like you're in right now, know that you are not alone, and I know that God will show you in a personal way that He still hears you and He's still got you, okay? So this is essentially the kind of season I have been in for the past few weeks as I've been going through a lot of transitions in my life, and I have just found myself praying and asking that God would move in really clear and obvious ways so that I can know that He is still with me, as I enter into a season of uncertainty and ambiguity, okay? If y'all have watched my last two videos, you'd know that I have been in Paris for the past few weeks, and at the start of my time here, I came before the Lord, and this is me being fully transparent here. I came before the Lord and I said, God, if you are still with me, can you please make a way for me to be invited to a French person's home for dinner? Okay, and I said, with a French baguette and everything. I'm realizing as I say this out loud how ridiculous it sounds. Like, I know God should not need to, start orchestrating dinner plans for me to know that He's with me, right? But I'm just being fully transparent and honest about how I struggle with faith sometimes and ask God to move so specifically for confirmation, okay? So now to give y'all a little bit more context, right? I knew I was going to be in Paris for 3 weeks, by myself. And aside from two ladies I had met when I studied abroad here in 2020, I didn't know anybody. Okay, so how I was going to be invited to somebody's house for dinner, I had no idea. Even if I met up with the girlies, I figured we'd go out for dinner. And, I told God that doesn't count anyway. And before I traveled here, I did do a little bit of research on some churches that I would like to try out, during my time here that are around my area. And so I had, 2 or 3 options ready to go, okay? But now for some reason, last Saturday night, I don't know why, but I just felt like I needed to find another church. And now, instead of looking on just Google Maps like I usually do to find churches in my area, I also looked on Instagram, and I ended up finding a church that stood out to me, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll give it a try. The next morning I got up and I went to the church, and it was honestly a really beautiful experience for me. I feel like God was really speaking to me in a lot of ways through the messages, and even moving in really kind ways to confirm a lot of the things that I have been praying about in regards to, where I'm hoping to move next, which I'll have to make another video on that in the future, as things develop. But Overall, it was a really sweet time. When I first walked in, I realized that even though it said it was an international church, many people only felt comfortable speaking in French, and the whole service was in French. And so they introduced me to an older woman who spoke English. She was, from Florida, and I ended up sitting next to her, the whole service, and I got to know her a bit. Her husband is French, and he was kind enough to sit behind us for the whole service and translate for us, which was really sweet of him. And this just added to why it was just such a sweet experience overall. Now, fast forward to a couple hours after service, I am on a long walk to the Eiffel Tower. I'm singing worship. I'm just so thankful and grateful to the Lord for a really beautiful morning at church. There are a lot of other things that happened that I won't go into because of time, but it was just a really good morning, okay? I look at my phone at a certain point and I see that the woman from church has messaged me on WhatsApp, and she says that her and her husband would love to have me over for dinner at their house the next day. Now, at this point, it's already been a week and a half since I've been in Paris, and I kind of, forgot or just wasn't thinking about what I had prayed God would do. But when I saw this text, it all came back to me, and the biggest smile spread across my face. And I was just like, God, you are too good. You're too kind. And I'm so spoiled, truly. And at this point, I'm basically singing and dancing on my way to the Eiffel Tower. And I probably look so crazy at this point, but it's fine. Now, fast forward to the next day, and they're actually doing the Daniel's fast, which means that they're not eating, any bread, any sugar, any meat, etc., right? Well, tell me why. As I come in, I sit down, the husband steps out for a couple minutes, and he comes back with a small baguette, and he hands it to me, and he's like, you have to try it. It's from our bakery downstairs, and it's truly the best. Y'all, I'm telling you, I was sitting there truly just so blown away, realizing how good and kind God is to come through on my prayer, even to the smallest detail. They did not need to invite me over to their house for dinner, but they definitely did not need to go out of their way and get this baguette, considering they're not even eating bread right now, But God wanted to remind me that He is still with me, and that He hears even the small details of my prayers, and that I should continue walking in faith, because He is truly able to make a way out of no way. And that's what I want to remind y'all of today as well. It might have been a while since the last time God moved in a clear and obvious way, but that does not mean that He is not right by your side, hearing every small detail of your prayers, okay? So make sure you're praying specifically and watch God come through with specificity, okay? I really hope this video encouraged anyone who can relate to me in sometimes needing a little boost in our faith to keep us going strong. God is still with us, and if He did it for me, He could do it for you too. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any examples of how God has answered prayers in your life with such specificity that it blew you away. And until next time, let's keep fighting the good fight of the faith, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!